Happy to be here today to talk about Security Copilot in Purview. And with me today, I have a colleague of mine, Sarahzin. Sarahzin, you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yep, that sounds good. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarahzin. I'm on Patrick's team. I do a lot with the data loss prevention side and information protection side and how that does extend over to the Security Copilot. So excited to really talk with you all and show you some of the cool things that we've been working on.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarahzin. And so I'm Patrick David. I'm a principal engineer at Microsoft in our customer experience team, focusing on Security Copilot in Purview for the last couple of years. So excited to be here to share some of the new announcements that we've released in the last couple months, both on our data security posture management solution and our alert triage agents in Purview, both in DLP and insider risk. So excited to kind of share this with everyone today. So before we kind of dive into that, just to kind of level set about Microsoft Purview as a solution itself, we really think about this as three pillars to help provide a inclusive solution to protecting your organization across data security, data governance, and data compliance with really a suite of solutions to meet those needs. And then kind of on this, right, as we look at AI transformation, moving with AI, having Security Copilot embedded in Microsoft Purview to help analysts, investigators get quick understanding and value from what they're seeing in those alerts and really help identify key risk quicker with AI is really what we're focusing on here. And so as we think about this, right, really transforming the way that we've been doing, or analysts have been doing investigations over the years with the power of AI, right? Helping you analysts identify what's been missed, being able to respond quicker to alerts and investigations, as you'll see. And then not only that, but also strengthening the team's expertise, right? Maybe you've got some junior analysts that are coming in, or maybe even some senior analysts coming in, looking at ways to have a AI assistant beside you, being much quicker in helping you respond to outcomes that you're finding is really the goal here with Copilot. So just high level what we have today within Purview as far as Security Copilot capabilities. We've got cross-purview solutions, so we'll talk a little bit about the data security posture management and some of the new capabilities that we've recently released with that, with prompt books and our prompt library. And then we've got Knowledge Hub, Copilot Concierge, really helping you get and identify information where you're working, so within Purview itself. And then within our data loss prevention, we've got several different solutions here. We're not going to cover kind of all of these today. We've had other webinars in the past on these, but we're going to really focus on the alert triage agent in DLP, how it can work with you and really speed up that investigation, identifying there's true positive high risk alerts and having your organization kind of prioritize those. And then in our insider risk management solution, we've got some capabilities, had a couple of capabilities for a while now. We're really going to focus on the alert triage agent in IRM also. So very similar to the DLP one, helping investigators get through those alerts and identify the most risky alerts that need the prioritization. And then across our compliance state, we have e-discovery capabilities and communication compliance capabilities. Again, we're not going to cover those today. We do have other sessions that we've done in the past on those. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarahzin to talk a little bit about the data security posture management, what it is, and then also kind of share some of the newer announcements that we've had recently and give a live demo on that. So hopefully the demo guides are with us today.
Hoping for the same, Patrick. So I'll go ahead and start sharing here. And that goes over well. All right. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, looks good.
All right, perfect. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks, Patrick, for setting the foundation there. So We do have a story that we want to tell on the data security posture management side, right? So what we really want to tell is to get you this like background on how to take the different pain points that you have in your environment and really understand how to handle that overall security posture, right? So these pain points that we're talking about is really surrounding the hidden risks that you have in your environment and how to take the comprehensive view you need to be able to see all of the different processes and data sources in your environment and understand where to really focus is the main pain point areas that we're focusing on, right? And so based off of that, we move forward and really introduce the Purview Data Security Posture Management tool, right? This is where you have this consolidated view of all the different data points in your environment coming through, how we've gone through and scanned the different data sources to really give you these insights and recommendations to be able to, of course, strengthen your data security posture, be able to see the actions that you might need to take to get the improvement in your posture itself. And then, of course, how we have generative AI embedded into the entire step of the process to make it a lot feasible for you too. So as we move forward, as you can see, this is a excuse me, an overall view of the portal itself, right? And how to get some insights as to what's happening. And if you take a look at everything here, we have the Copilot bar that's in the top here that gives you those AI capabilities that you can do a further investigation. And then if you take a look down, you have the top data security risk recommendations coming in, along with those recommended reports too, right? So it's giving you the visibility into those data security risks that you have in your environment. And as you move forward a little bit more and scroll down within the overview page, you can see that you have additional reports and trends that really show the processes and what's working over time to give you a high-level overview of an understanding of your overall data estate, right? And so seeing the users that are performing the top exfiltration, these are all things that are coming out of the box based off of the analytics coming in from your DLP, inside risk management. It's a way of getting all these insights in one specific location, right? And so when you go into your reporting side here, you can see that you can get the one of the top requested, I guess, reports that we've received is to see the unprotected sensitive data, right? So these are things that don't have any encryption. There's no DLP policy. You know, they're unlabeled. They're in your environment. There's no protection at this time. So it gives you an understanding of what's in your environment. And of course, if you can take a look, it'll have the classifiers that are associated with the two, along with the location to give you the understanding of what to do there as well. And then, of course, you have the users who are performing the top risky activities on the unprotected sensitive data too. So in addition to having the data sets that you can now see it's unprotected, you could then take a look at all the different activities that are taking place with that content in your environment to really understand so do we want this project Obsidian to be have the label itself be downgraded and then exfiltrated? Do you want these files to be printed? It gives you a high level understanding of what's really going on. So then you can take any actions that you want to take, or then kind of jump into the recommendations that the data security posture management does offer there too. So as you can see here, we have the recommendations that are kind of populating, and you can jump in. And again, I'll show you this in the environment, so I will go through this a little bit faster here, but this is so that you have for your reference that when you get the recommendations, it'll tell you those activities, it'll tell you the sensitive information that was detected. And then based off of that, you can click it, the view recommendation, and it'll give you the template that you can use to create either both the IRM and DLP policy, or you could do one of each depending on the role and the portion that you want to address. But we always do recommend that doing both of them would be something that you should do. Now this is updated either continuously or every 30 days or every single time that you do close out a recommendation. It'll then repopulate more based off of the new posture of your environment there as well. All right, for the next part here, and this is something that we're really excited about, is the Security Copilot functionality that you can use, right? So the analytics that are coming through on the DSPM side are all based off of inside risk management and DLP, kind of feeding into the system so we can see your entire data estate pulling through. With Security Copilot here, what we're doing is we're letting you be able to filter and investigate deeper into what's already being presented to you. This is allowing you to see more insights and see a little bit of what's going on. And based off of that, there are these 2 prompt books that our team has gone through and created for you, right? So one is the risky user investigation. The other one is the sensitive data protection. Both of these use a 6 prompt sequence. So it'll ask you for a two points of input. So it could be the number of days, the user, the classifier, depending on which prompt book that you are using. And as you kind of move forward with it, you input those. So in this case, it's the UPN and the duration. And it'll then run the prompt on the right pane of your screen. And as you see it, it'll then answer and then auto fill up the next prompt for you. So then you don't have to go through and manually do the investigation. And then of course, outside of the prompt books, we also have our Copilot prompt gallery, which we have over 200 of these prompts that we've gone through, and I recommended that you take a look at too. So with that being said, let me jump into the actual environment so I can show you a little bit more so of how that behaves, what that looks like, and what those next steps are there too. So the next portion of this is going to be into the environment here. So if you just give me 1 second here, I'll go ahead and swap over. All right, so we're here in the new environment now, which is the Microsoft Purview side. And what we're going to do is when I jump into our data security posture management tool here, like I showed in the screen grabs earlier, you'll see that we have a couple items here, right? We have the overall security posture management overview page. This is going to give you the recommended actions based off of your environment. And as you can see, we are recommending that you go through and create a collection policy so you have a little bit more of these insights that are coming in. And as you take a click into this, you can see that at least in this demo environment, we've already created this, but it gives you some insights on what has already been set up and then the time frame that it could take. So in this case, it could take up to 24 hours for the activity to be detected there. That is part of the recommended actions themselves. And as you can take a look over here to the left, the next segment is that we can kind of jump into the top data security recommendations, which goes into scanning the entire data estate to see all the activities that are populated, the classifiers that are involved. A quick disclaimer or a quick note here is that this actually does have custom sets. So if you are looking to see some of the recommendations based on your custom sensitive information types, that is something that you can see automatically within your recommendations here too. So you could actually get those recommendations specifically if your out of the box sensitive information types aren't the ones that you want to focus on for your organization, then we can definitely jump in and see those recommendations based off of the custom sets there too. And then, of course, as you go down, you have all the reporting that you have in place. This is all part of your overview in general. And then, of course, trends that you have of things like what have been labeled automatically or manually. You could get some more insights as to what that means. And then, of course, any assets that are protected by at least one DLP policy as you kind of scroll down to see some of these insights here too. So before I jump into the Security Copilot integration here in that demo, I just wanted to, again, show these 2 sections here for the recommendations and reports. Again, this is something that we've already shown in the screen grabs, but as you can see, when you jump into this section here, you have a total number of recommendations. It's the last 30 days. And as you click into the view of the recommendation here, it'll give you a quick blurb as to why this is being suggested to you. And then it'll populate with the incident risk management and or DLP policy recommendations on how to create that here too. So it's taking a little bit longer here. So hopefully that'll load up here. But this is a live demo, so sometimes it won't populate there too. So all right. Sounds good, it actually did. So I wanted to show you, so if you do only a DLP policy, it'll then give you the setting configurations for creating it only for DLP. Of course, you can jump in on if you want to do a simulation mode or turn it on. We always recommend doing the simulation to see how that works first in the environment. And as you go down, you can see that you have the enforcement actions. You could audit, block with override, or block. These are options that you can check in the DLP side too. And then you, of course, have the actions that are going to be taken, at least for the devices here, and then your Exchange, SharePoint, OneDrive here too. So these are the different functionalities here. If you do go into customization, it'll take you into the DLP policy portal where you can create the policy. If you create it from here, it typically shows up within 3 minutes in the DLP policy portal, but then the same SLAs apply when you create a DLP policy or inside a risk management policy there too. So this is the way so you don't have to go from portal to portal, but it gives you the insights based off of what you're seeing and where to go and what to do there too. So, and again, here is just some of the user scopes for the inside risk management policy itself. And then as you go down, same thing with customization, you can jump into the inside risk policy portal and see a little bit more insights too. So that's a little bit on the recommendations. And then as we jump back into our analytics reports, these are coming out of the box here. So if you click on the view report, you'll just see a little bit of a deeper dive into what's taking place in the environment itself, right? So you have Exchange, you have Teams, OneDrive. You see some of the aspects here. You can filter more and kind of see some of those insights there too. So, and you can click in to get some of the information that you're looking, and of course you are able to export this too. Now, I'm going to go back to the overview here so we can jump in and show some of the Security Copilot functionality in action, right? So then we have the risky user investigation here. This is one of the prompt books that I mentioned earlier. I'm going to go ahead and click on Get Started. As you can see, we're looking for a UPN. I've already selected a suspicious user from earlier. So we'll go ahead and put that information there. The duration is a max 30 days. So we'll put 30 days here. And we'll go through and click on Submit, and it'll populate on the right to give you the overall prompt book. And while that's generating, we could take a look. This is a part of the, I guess you could say, the power of AI, right? So you could do multiple things at the same time. As it populates on the right here, you can look into the prompt gallery to see what else is there. Filter by some of these 6 categories that we have. You can look into alerts and policies, suspicious activity, sensitive data, whatever it is that you want to do, so that as it does populate and Security Copilot kind of goes through and does a prompt book, you don't have to just be in one location trying to take a look as well. And so if you scroll up here just a little bit as the prompts are kind of going through, you can see that the first prompt was submitted. It gave you some insights as to the 12 activities that involved the user over the last 30 days. Here's some of the most 10 recent ones. And as you scroll down, you can see you're able to export it. Sorry, excuse me. It's still running the prompts over here too. So, and then if you go to prompt number 2, it'll then jump in about the, some of the sensitive data exfiltration activities. It'll tell you what those activities are in general. And as you scroll down, it'll give you some of the, the insights of these interactions, and it will give you the top sensitivity labels there too. And as you scroll down to the prompt 5, it'll give you the, what is the user's current risk level to understand what's happening there too. So as you can see, some of those insights are here. We do currently have a bug in our demo environment right now, so that is why prompt 6 isn't working, but typically it'll give you those insights on what actions can be taken. So some of those insights are things like, creating a policy for DLP, make sure that this is happening, this is protected, and it gives you some of the guidance here so that you could take those steps there too. But really what I wanted to show is that you didn't have to go through and put in all these prompts manually. It's giving you the insights that you needed to see, and it's populating the information there to see the activity that's taking place there too. Now, some of the other prompts that we could take are, show the users within those DLP alerts. This is something that is heavily used by a lot of our customers. It's one of the top ones that's asked. It's also in our prompt gallery there too. but it's really to understand what user it is that you want to go through and focus on. You can also see this within the standalone experience. You can see it within the DLP alert itself, but it's a great way of being able to start this overall investigation. And I'm seeing kind of what those steps are in general too. So as that populates here, I'll also start getting ready for the next prompt here, which is something that I want to talk about for what a lot of our customers use the logic apps that call on the SCP functionalities, so that you can do a little bit more automation there too. So as you can see, this is the show the most DLP alerts. You have all the users populating here and the alert account to give you that good starting point. Again, also within the prompt gallery itself. And then if you take a look, you could do the show me the DLP alerts in the last month or 30 days based on a specific policy that you're looking for. But it's something that you can do for overall reporting there as well. And last but not least, I just want to show one more prompt here, which is to list the users with the unusual exfiltration activities. So you can see some more insights as to what's really happening in the environment. And again, some of this is already embedded into the recommendations pane, but it's really to show you what that looks like as you start your data security journey. So that's really a high-level overview here. And the one thing that I did want to show before I jump it back over to Patrick is that we recently released some guidance on how to deploy DSPM in your environment and take the next steps as to what you'd like to see and what you'd like to do. So I wanted to go back into the deck really quickly so I could show you some of the components here and give you those insights there too. So it's what we call one of our deployment models that we've been working on to ensure that we can give the guidance on the next steps to take too. So really what this is to start out with a foundational set of assumptions, right? These are things that we're recommending that when you're starting out, you can actually use in your environment, right? So you have your out-of-the-box and custom sensitive information types already identified, your labeling schemas configured, you have your incident risk management program defined or Security Copilots enabled. Again, this is optional. If you want to be able to use the custom investigations, you definitely need this, but if you just want to see the reports, you don't, but we highly recommend it. And what that'll do is it'll really allow you to understand your full data estate. If you don't have your data security strategy, so your labeling schema, incident risk management, or your SITs identified, well, we recommend that it's going to take about 3+ weeks to get that situated to kind of start the overall deployment. Again, it's not required, it's highly recommended. That way you have a better story of what's happening in your environment. The integrations here, this is to make sure that your DLP analytics, your incident risk management and the analytics are turned on. You do have a role with the least privileged assigned. That way you can make sure that somebody is not overprivileged in accessing your data points. And once you do have those 2 analytic points turned on, your initial scan will start automatically. And as DSPM starts to pull those insights, it takes about 3 days for it to populate in the environment itself. Following the integrations and as you get these insights, next step, of course, is to jump in, see the reports, see the trends, and get the details as to what's really happening in the environments, and then to take those recommendations to really determine your next steps and what to do, right? And so this is something that is generated automatically every 30 days, or if anytime you close out those recommendations as well. And what that'll do is then it'll take you to the next step here, which is part of your maintenance, right? So creating those DLP IRM policies, then of course kind of moving forward with the overall investigations and taking AI to help automate what you really want to see. And you can do things with like a logic app or just really get those insights from your environment there too, and to make sure that this is an ongoing process so that you have the key understandings there too. Now, based off of this, we also have a new diagram there that really takes the information there so you can have a high-level overview of really what that process is. So you start with the analytics, you get the insights, you take actions, you investigate with Security Copilot, then you create those policies, and then you start tracking the postures. And so every component that's really built in is here. And so this is something that you can definitely use to be a starting point for data security posture management. With that being said, I'm going to transfer this over back to my colleague Patrick to go into a deeper dive with those alert triage agents.
Awesome, thanks, Sarahzin. Just pulling up the slides here. Yeah, so thanks, Sarahzin. A few things there too I wanted to just touch on. So as Sarahzin was kind of going through the DSPM, one of the key things that customers are finding useful is using that AI to do that investigation while you're going and doing other activities. So you can let those prompts kind of run, especially with that prompt book of series of prompts run there as you're doing other tasks and other investigations, then kind of come back to that. So it's been really powerful. The other thing that we've seen customers do is use some of those prompts and automate those with logic apps, as Sarahzin mentioned. So as you think about ways of that you're doing manual tasks today, maybe it's reporting on the number of DLP alerts that you've had in the last week or the last month, or who are my top DLP violators, or who are the users that are having justification for overriding in my organization, right? Some of those reporting capabilities also, we've seen customers gravitate to using the Security Copilot in DSPM. So just wanted to kind of highlight those before we kind of jump in here to the alert triage agents in DLP and insider risk management. And so as we kind of look forward to the next kind of evolution of AI as we're progressing here, we've had summary and experiences in Security Copilot within Purview, right, for DLP and IRM, but really moving to the assisted type investigations with agents is kind of where we're heading now. And these agents are going to continuously learn based on feedback that you as an organization provide to them, adapt based on how you're interacting with them, right? Are you confirming alerts, dismissing alerts, and then operate all securely within the Microsoft Zero Trust framework, right? So these are our first-party agents that go through a rigorous set of controls before we release them, and making sure they are secure and meet all the RAI standards that Microsoft has. So really, what are we trying to solve here, right? So we know based on research, right, that most organizations get a high number of alerts, well, these be DLP, insider risk alerts. And we know that most organizations don't have the capacity to kind of triage all these alerts in a given day, right? And some numbers here, so about 66 alerts per day, with only about 60% of those being addressed. And as things evolve, right, there's additional complexities as we evolve with AI and the amount of data that's out there. These become more and more challenging. We also know that there's a shortage of data security professionals out there, right? So all of these things lead to an opportunity really to have assistance with agents here to help organizations respond faster to the most critical alerts in their organization, increase efficiency with the time it takes to kind of review an alert, and then kind of adapt over time, right? So change in the responses based on the feedback that you are providing this agent. We still want the humans to definitely be in the loop with all of this. So we're not at the place where we're at full automation with any of this, but we do want to have these agents assist admins and investigators in their triage experience. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to kind of show what we have, and then similar to Sarahzin, I'm going to jump in and actually show a live demo of this. So this is in DLP, but this is very similar in the insider risk setup. So I'll talk a little bit about the differences when we go into the demo. But here we've got the alert triage agents, and when you go and set this up, you have control, right? So you control how far back you want the agent to look, right? So you can have it process alerts that are 30 days old. Maybe you've got a backlog of alerts and you want it to catch up and process all those alerts. You also can set the custom instructions. So these are natural language instructions that you're providing to an agent to say, hey, I want to not only you look at what the policy configuration is for my organization, but also maybe prioritize certain things, right? So maybe it's prioritize documents related to Project Osibian. That's a confidential project for new credit card offerings, right? So you can provide that in natural language, and the agent will prioritize those types of alerts, and I'll kind of go through that in the demo here also. But you also have control over what policies, right? So maybe you only want certain policies in your organization to have the agent triage, right? And maybe other policies, you still want humans doing that investigation fully, right? So as you're rolling this out, you have control over whether you want all the policies to have the agent kind of triage, or if you want to scope that down to only certain policies. So again, providing full control over how you kind of set up the agent here. And then as the agent's set up, as it's running, right, we've got this new view, and we've got a prioritized view of like alerts that need attention and less urgent that the agent has triaged. So now as you're coming in as an investigator, you've got a kind of a key set of alerts to maybe focus your time on. And then the agent will actually go through here and do that initial analysis. So instead of investigator coming in here kind of blind to what's going on, the agent will actually do the triage experience for you, provide an overall summary of what the alert was about, the sensitivity risk, the exfiltration risk, and the policy risk in the case of DLP. In the case of insider risk management, we'll provide a summary, but we'll have slightly different pivot points. One based on the user risk, right, because that's a focus of IRM, the activity risk, and then the file risk of files associated with that insider risk alert, for example. So slightly different pivot points, but the same type of experience here. And then not only that, but if there was files associated with this, right, usually an investigator will have to go through mainly and look at all those files, understand what's in those files, understand where there was a match or why something was analyzed or what the document's about. And so the agent can kind of go through that, provide an agent summary, and then also provide the details as I'll show you to better help the investigator triage those alerts much quicker. So let me jump in to the demo here. Give me just a second to switch over. So I'm going to start in our DLP solution here. And so the agent's already been installed. If you haven't installed the agent, there's an agent setup here. But once the agent's installed, it's kind of a one-time thing that you do for the organization. So I'm going to kind of skip that step. So we have the agent already installed. Once the agent's installed, it's been running, right? Now we have this new alert queue. So your standard queue here is what you're used to in DLP or in IRM. And so this is where you'd see all your alerts. In the new view, you'll notice that we have a couple different filters up here. So the needs attention, less urgent. The all is just going to be all the alerts that have come in. The needs attention are going to be the alerts that the agents kind of analyzed over, provided a understanding and said, hey, these are the ones that require the most attention. I'm going to jump up here also and show a little bit about the agent details. So again, I've already set up the agent in this environment here. And so I can see my time frame, but I can also see the custom instructions. So I've told this agent, say, hey, focus on alerts with documents containing 5 social security, credit card numbers, passwords, secrets, or credentials, right? And so in addition to it looking at the policies and the exfiltration activity associated with this, it's also going to look and try and prioritize the alerts that have or meet this criteria. And so we've provided that kind of natural language. And then I have the policies also set here. And if you have the rights, right, you can go in and edit and change this. But for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to jump into some of these needs attention ones. So here I've got my needs attention queue. I can get a quick overview here, but I'm just going to jump into one of these alerts here. Just pick one. Just pick this top one here. So as I'm going in the alert, I can see it needs attention. You can see this is actually a DLP alert, flagged this as a low severity alert based on my policy configurations. But the agent said, hey, this needs attention. And here I can see the agent's process it. This has 5 files in it. It's identified that out of these 5 files, 2 match the custom instructions, 4 contain highly sensitive, what looks like real data, including numerous social security numbers, credit card numbers. But it also looked at 1 file and said, hey, this contains only synthetic test data, right? Depicting realistic formatting, but it's actually identified, hey, that one looks like actual test data because it's matching a pattern, and I can see the sensitivity risk associated with the exfiltration risk, and then the policy risk, right? So the exfiltration risk, hey, there's no immediate exfiltration risk as none of the files were shared externally, right, or to unapproved domains, so it kind of knows that. I can jump in and see additional details on here. So while now I'm an investigator, I've gone through it, I've got a quick summary on this, and maybe that's enough, right? Maybe that's enough for me to say, hey, I want to confirm this, take my actions that I do on my DLP alert, and I can do that. Or maybe it's something I want to dive in further, or maybe it's something I need to dismiss. I can dive in here further so I can see, again, the same information at the top, but now I've got the actual files down here that I was that were part of this, right? And so here I can actually see, okay, this particular file was highly sensitive, had full file names. And if I want to go in and actually want to see that, right, so I can see, hey, what were the rule matches in here? So based on the policy, right, this policy is looking for credit card numbers. Here's an example of what was actually in that file and why we matched on the particular sensitivity labels in here and the reasoning behind that. In addition to that, I also have the custom instructions, right? So you remember I provided instructions saying, hey, identify social security numbers, credit card numbers with greater than 5, right? And so now it's matching and telling me, hey, these are the reasons why I found these prioritized items in here based on not only your custom instructions, but also the rule matches. If I look at this second file here, and I can actually see in here, hey, that's giving me a document summary, right? Here's what it's found, but it's looking and says, hey, although the spreadsheet has full names, social security numbers, and realistic contents, the pattern is like the data is a highly pattern repeated, right? So it's saying, hey, that this might be a file that was like just a test type of file, right? In this case, it was. So, but as an investigator, right, I can quickly get this analysis and understanding of where a true positive and a false positive alert might be. So just wanted to highlight that. I'm gonna jump back here real quick and go back to my alerts. And I just want to show you an example of one that is less urgent also. So in my less urgent queue here, I've got alerts that the agent has kind of reviewed, and I determined for whatever reason it'll show me that something is less urgent. So if I go in here, I'm just gonna grab one. Grab this one. So this is a high, right, from the DLP alert standpoint, but it's saying, hey, the agent tried to associate determine less urgent, categorized as no real data in the file. It didn't match any custom instructions, no rules matched. And so if I go into the details on this one, right, and I look a little bit further at this, this was a file shared in OneDrive, right, that matched a Teams policy that I have. And if I look at this particular file, here, it looks like it's a SharePoint configuration export containing system metadata associated with it. But if I look at the rules associated with this, right, I couldn't find any social security numbers, credit card numbers. So this looks like something that was maybe flagged as a sensitive information type that didn't really match when we ran the LLM models against it. So actually, if I go over into my overview, I have all the same controls that I've had before, right? So I can assign this, I can take action on it. But if I scroll down in here, so originally matched for a US social security number. Now this is a custom set that we have in the organization with no keywords associated with it, right? So it's just looking for numbers essentially. But when the agent took a closer look at this, said, hey, this doesn't actually match a social security number based on what we've seen in here. So that's why it was something that needs less attention. Now, again, you could go in here, you can view the actual events for this, you can determine why, but the agent has kind of already triaged this. So as an investigator, right, I've gone in, instead of me having to spend the time to go through and dig into this, the agent can look at that and say, hey, this is something that's less urgent because it doesn't match the actual social security number policy that you've set up, right? It's a string match, right, of numbers, but it doesn't meet the kind of full check to say, hey, this is something that requires further attention to be like a social security number match. So this has actually saved an investigator a lot of time, right? And here we can clearly see that like there's no social security numbers in here. And again, that's a custom SIP that we had that had no supporting context with it, but it's just a file here. So just want to highlight that one also as a less urgent one. And then I'm going to just jump over here real quick over to the insider risk management. Very similar, but just want to show that the categories, right, that we look at for insider risk management are slightly different. 5 demos. See, this let me in. So if I look at my needs attention here, alerts, let's just see. And sort these columns if you want. We can filter on some of the columns here. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to select, sorry, dismissed, but here I can see, and I'm not going to dive in it fully, but you do get the full summary, right? So here, obviously, we're pivoting on the user activity. This user in the past has had some trigger events. We can see that it's analyzed over 11,000 activities. Out of these activities, it looks like that one file was exfiltrated within the last 60 days. There's been an increase of activity in the last 30 days that we can see. So without me having to go through all the activity explorer and everything, I've got that high level details. And then we do pivot on slightly different things. So we pivot on the user risk, right? So what's the user been doing? Has the user been risky in the last 90 days? In this case, there's been some potential disgruntlement. So disgruntlement here means, hey, we've got communication compliance policies. We're feeding in that disgruntlement signal here. And so we've got some of those signals flowing in here. We've got alerts in the past this user's had, so kind of a history, and we've got the activity risk. And then in this case, there was no files that could be analyzed as part of this, but we'd also have the file risk that kind of determined, hey, this needs attention. So slightly different pivot points, which is why I wanted to show that off, but just wanted to point that out. So I'm going to jump back to the slides here. And share some resources and with you, and then we'll also open this up to Q&A. So I'll leave this up. But for resources here, we do have the Security Copilot Adoption Hub. Great resource for you to go understand not only what's happening with Purview, but any new latest capabilities and how to get started. A great resource there. Joining the NDA CCP community customer connection program here. I think in the chat there's been a few things there. So please do join that. In addition to that, we've started this new Security Copilot and Purview cohort. So if you are an NDA with us, you can join this cohort. This cohort is really focused on understanding what we're working on next. What are those new features we've got coming, and being able to share that and get your feedback on that. So please, if you can join that, look to join that. We've got our Security Copilot from Purview blog to stay latest on kind of what's coming, what's new. Again, with Ignite coming up, there's probably going to be a lot of new announcements that we'll be sharing. So stay tuned to that blog that continuously gets updated with the new announcements. And then we showed off the agents today, right? There's an AKA link there for our Learn documentation on the Purview agents. Sarahzin shared her blueprint that she's been working on. We're really proud about that. We're going to be also releasing a blueprint shortly on Security Copilot within Purview and how to get started, how to get those quick wins from here. So that's going to be coming pretty soon. We're excited to kind of do that. And then we've got the Purview community there that you can share with a larger community, right? Questions you have, get the latest understanding on Purview all up, not just Security Copilot. So with that, I think we've got some time here. We'll take some questions, or if there's questions in the chat.
Yeah, no, thanks, Patrick. Appreciate that. I don't think we have a lot of questions that we've got to cover. A lot of questions revolved around some roadmap features, and we'd encourage everybody interested in some answers to those to join our customer connection program at the second link right there. But we will open it up for questions otherwise. If anybody has a question that they would like Patrick and Sarahzin to address, please go ahead and feel free to pop it into the Q&A. We'll give it a couple of minutes, but all right, I don't think we see anything coming in, so I don't want to hold people up. We'll give you the time back. Just want to thank Patrick and Sarahzin for being our guest today. Thank you to everyone in the Q&A for handling questions as they came in and addressing them. So remember, if you're still on the line, thank you for joining us. Make sure you join our community at aka.ms/securitycommunity. Join the mailing list. You don't want to miss any of the upcoming sessions. Thank you all so much.